Back here on HQ, where the 2-1 seeds in last year's playoff will play on Sunday night. It's Lions and Chiefs in Kansas City. Jared Goff looks to become the only quarterback with a 3-0 record or better versus Patrick Mahomes in the regular season, while the Chiefs are just hoping to rebound after a primetime loss on Monday night. Let's break down this game with our friend Tyler Sullivan. Tyler, tough loss, as I mentioned, for the Chiefs Monday night in Jacksonville, but once again, they are back in prime time with a chance to take down the NFC's Super Bowl favorite. So where do they need to improve since that loss just earlier this week?
Yeah, whenever you can put the Chiefs on prime time, you just have to do it, right? Because obviously everybody wants to pay attention to what's going on with the Kansas City Chiefs. For a minute there, it did feel like maybe they had turned a corner where you say, okay, a little sluggish start out of the gate, but all of a sudden they're playing at a high level. They're averaging a lot of points per game. The offense seems to turn things around, especially with the return of Xavier Worthy. But to me, it's closing out these games, which is kind of funny to consider a Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid-led team not being able to close out games, but that's kind of been the case here this season. 0-3 in one-score games, which is the total opposite of what we saw a year ago. They were 12-1, I believe, in terms of one-score games in 2024. So to me, that's going to be the key issue, and I think a part of that is an inability to run the football effectively. That's kind of been the Chiefs' problem this season, is rushing the football and then defending the run. So to me, those are the two areas where I think you look at this team and say, where can they get better? How should they be better? To me, it's on the ground and in the trenches.
I know we like to watch the Chiefs in prime time, as you said, but if we go back to 2018, this game is Sunday Night Football, but that one was Monday Night Football. Jared Goff dueling with the Rams against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. That was an electric game. What is it about Jared Goff in prime time? Something seems to turn on for him, particularly against this Kansas City team.
Yeah, when you're going up against what many people believe to be the high bar in the NFL, you have to bring it. And Jared Goff certainly has. I mean, you look at the numbers, they're 2-0, 37.5 points per game with his team. And he really has been playing at an extremely high level, not just going up against Patrick Mahomes, but you look at the bulk of this season, this Lions offense is really going at a very high clip right now. The last 4 games, they're averaging 40 points. It has been pretty remarkable what we've seen from this offense, specifically with Jared Goff, who sneaky has been putting together maybe an MVP campaign so far. I mean, right now, no one has really separated themselves, but right now, Jared Goff is in a position to not only put himself into that contention, but you show out here against Kansas City in Arrowhead Stadium. You're talking about extending your lead in the NFC North, extending your lead in the NFC in general. To me, this is a massive game, not just for Jared Goff, but also for the Detroit Lions in their season.
You mentioned that MVP race. Goff is 4th right now in the odds. Patrick Mahomes is 2nd. But where do you put Goff's chances to actually take home the award? I know you kind of threw it out there, but could this happen?
I think it could, because again, like I said, no one's really separated themselves. Yes, Josh Allen, you could see there, plus 135 is an overwhelming favorite, but they are coming off a loss to the New England Patriots in prime time. You never know, voter fatigue could set in after winning it a year ago. I feel like voters put a high bar on a back-to-back NFL MVP, and you look at Jared Goff, he's number 1 in the NFL currently in completion percentage, number 1 in the NFL in passing touchdowns, number 2 in passer rating, only looking up to Lamar Jackson, who his stock has fallen since he's been dealing with injuries. So you compile those numbers together and you say, okay, that is Jared Goff certainly has MVP type numbers. Now, what does it mean for the team? You need to be on a division winner in a team that's rivaling for a number 1 seed. The Detroit Lions certainly look like they're on pace to do that and rival for a top seed. The other piece of the equation here for Jared Goff, for me, is he's had MVP type numbers in prior years, but I think he kind of gets dinged a little bit because of the situation around him. It's unbelievable in terms of the weapons and the coaching that he has around him. This year could be a little bit different. I think voters could look at Jared Goff and say, hey, listen, he's putting up these numbers despite losing Ben Johnson, many believed to be the mastermind behind this offense. So there's a compelling case here for Jared Goff to start building for MVP, and at 14-1, I think that's a pretty good bet right now.
Yeah, you mentioned losing Ben Johnson. A little bumpy out of the gate for John Morton. Weren't sure what this offense would look like with him, but week one seems like so long ago. How impressive is what the Lions are doing this season, considering all they lost in that coaching staff?
Yeah, and it's a commitment to the players too. I mean, yes, they did lose Ben Johnson, who again, a lot of people put a lot of stake in terms of being the straw that stirs the drink. But you see here, the guys that they have on this offensive skill positions, it's just unbelievable, especially in that backfield with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, the number one kind of Sonic and Knuckles pairing that we've seen in the NFL. And the numbers don't lie. 4-0 is the big one, but 4-0 40 is the big one for me. Over the last month, you're averaging 40 points. You're not going to lose a lot of football games, especially when you have Aiden Hutchinson on the other side attacking quarterback. So to me, this team right now, and again, we're talking in the first couple of days of October, first couple of weeks of October, but if they continue this play, there's no reason to deny them a division winner, a number one seed, and they will legitimately be a bona fide Super Bowl threat if they keep this up.
Yeah, based on the way that you have been talking about the Lions, mentioning MVP, Super Bowl, one seed, I think I know where you're going with this pick, but I still have to ask, who wins this game Sunday night?
Yeah, I really don't have a great poker face, do I? Because I do think it's going to be the Detroit Lions. I would take the points here. I would take them on the money line. I know that they're an underdog, and Arrowhead is such a tough place to play, and the Kansas City Chiefs are the Kansas City Chiefs. You can always never count them out, right? Even when you think, okay, they're on the backward swing, their offense hasn't looked great, they still give you a little bit of a shiver down your spine. But right now, I just feel like the Detroit Lions are playing much better football, and they have been one of the best road teams, actually the best road team in the NFL dating back to last season. 10-1 on the road, Dan Campbell is with the Detroit Lions. And I think for me, this game is going to come down to David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. That duo, to me, I think is in a really good position to shine once again. The Kansas City Chiefs are they're in the bottom 5 in the NFL in yards per rush allowed. And when you have Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery against that type of a defense, I think that's only going to help the Detroit Lions dominate time of possession, which means that Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce are on the sideline, and that should help them pull off a road win here.
So if you are correct, and we have no reason to doubt you, Tyler, that means that the Chiefs would drop to 2-4 on the season. So if you look at their schedule ahead here, where do the wins come, and where does that panic set in?
Yeah, I think the panic is gonna set in right after this game because, again, when you're looking at a possible 2-4 record with teams like the Washington Commanders on Monday Night Football, the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo in Week 9, 2 over the next 3 weeks, that's going to be a little concerning, especially when they get into that Week 10 bye. You really kind of have to reevaluate. They should be able to beat the Raiders in Week 7, so that losing streak won't continue, I don't believe. But to me, the Kansas City Chiefs remind me so much of the prior New England Patriots, where we've had these same conversations, right? It looks a little clunky out of the gate. You think that, okay, they're past their prime, and then somehow they put it all together, and at the end of the season, they make it into the playoffs, and then you say, oh my goodness, Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid are in the playoffs. So I think the X factor for the Kansas City Chiefs over the second half of this season is going to be what this offense looks like once Rashee Rice gets back from his suspension, which is right after this game. He's eligible to come back after Week 6. And to me, that is going to be a massive, massive swing in the overall playoff picture in the AFC. Because if Rashee Rice is who he was when he was on the field for the Chiefs prior to the suspension, prior to the injury that he dealt with last year, you're talking about a prolific number 1 wide receiver. And if you get that back with Patrick Mahomes, then it makes life a lot easier for everybody else. Xavier Worthy can really turn into a deep threat. Travis Kelce, kind of a complementary player at this point of his career. You should be able to run the ball more effectively. And if the Kansas City Chiefs end up playing more with a lead, that's going to help the defensive side of the ball as well. So it's not all doom and gloom for the Kansas City Chiefs. Wins should be on the horizon, but Rashee Rice is the X factor here.
Yeah, counting out the Chiefs is a fool's errand, so we won't do it, Tyler. Thank you so much for breaking down some Sunday night football, Chiefs and Lions. And here is your second screen while you're watching SNF. You've got Sunday Game Day recap with Haley Sutton and the guys. They will recap all the action from Week 6. You can watch it at 8:20 right here on HQ. Thanks for watching us here on this Friday. I don't know if we made it clear enough, but there's a lot of sports to watch tonight, so keep it locked in here to CBS Sports HQ. We'll take you up to it and through it.